Welcome to music, we're gonna have some fun. Welcome to music, welcome everyone. And welcome everyone to our webinar, the first for the year. It's been a year since we've done a webinar. All right, so why have I decided to do this topic, you may well ask? So I guess I've come back into teaching the last, say, 3 years, and I have been teaching on and off for 30 years. Sometimes I would be in a school for a few years and then back into our business and then back into a school. So now I'm in the phase of being back into schools. And it's been a very interesting journey because schools view assessment in many different ways. So I want to talk to you tonight about 2 models, one being in a public school in Melbourne and one being in a private school, and how different they are. And there's so many different models. I want to say from the very outset that I am no expert on assessment at all, but I'd just like to share my experiences with you, and I would like to hear your experiences too a little bit later when we have our question time and comments and so on, and let's see what kind of experiences you've had as well, because I think it's so important to share. It's really, really important. So for the very first time, I decided that I would be a little bit courageous and put it out there and offer to do a workshop on assessment. And I offered it at the Early Childhood Conference of Performing Arts this year in Melbourne in August. And I really thought, because I know how I've been in terms of assessment. I mean, we really don't want to know on the one hand, but of course we have to do this. So we do have to know. So I know oh no, if I could go and make music and sing and dance and everything, I much prefer to do that than talk about assessment. But in actual fact, we all know how important it is and we have to do it. So we have to make time to think about it, discuss it, and share our experiences with each other. So I decided to do this workshop. Didn't think that anyone would come, and about 20 people attended, and we had a really great conversation. It was a lovely opportunity to share, and that's what I want this to be. So I'm going to start by sharing my experiences, and then I'm going to hand it over to you so that you can also ask questions and share your experiences. So I've put on this handout, and of course we will send you this handout if you're with us online tonight. I've started by saying we all have to assess students in the music class. How do we do it with minimal fuss and disturbance to what really matters? And what really matters is a good quality sequential and developmental music program that we can offer our kids. And sometimes we can actually only have 30 minutes a week. So the private school model that I'm going to talk about, I had 30-minute lessons. The public school model that I'm going to talk about, I have 50-minute lessons per week. Okay, so you know, the norm seems to be anywhere between 30 minutes and 60 minutes per week. But of course, there are those lucky people out there that sometimes have 2 lessons. In fact, Phil and I met some people earlier in the year. We were doing a workshop in Sydney with iJam, and there were some people there that work in a private school in Sydney telling us that they have music every day. So, wow, you know, there are lots of different situations around Australia and of course around the world. All right, so the things I'm going to cover tonight are: what kind of assessment tasks can we cover? What sorts of tasks should we include? How do we implement the tasks? How do the tasks relate to the curriculum? And how does the assessment flow on to reports? So it all needs to kind of link in beautifully. All right, so tonight I'm going to focus on foundation. Now, foundation, if you are from overseas and listening in, foundation is our first year of school. So in some states we call it prep, even kinder, but now according to the Australian curriculum, we now call it Foundation. I am going to link everything back to the Australian curriculum, the arts, the latest version being December 2016, unless someone can tell me something different, but I try and do research fairly regularly, and I'm certainly not aware of an update since then. However, having said that, there's lots of examples online for those of you that are in Australia, units of inquiry in the arts. There's now the Quality Music Education Framework that's around. So there's lots of supplements to go with the Australian curriculum. But also I need to say that in Australia, many states have their own curriculum as well. In Victoria, we have an arts curriculum, so we have a music curriculum. I've just been to Tasmania to do a workshop down there, and they follow the Australian curriculum. So there's lots and lots of different models, but I am basing tonight's webinar on the Australian curriculum, the arts. And I will say that even though if you're from another state or from overseas, we've done lots of training in Asian countries, for example, and I know that every time I study a curriculum, it's the same stuff, just put in a different way. It's absolutely the same stuff. Okay, so we're singing, saying, moving, dancing, playing, creating, composing, performing. We're doing all of those things. And we're learning about the musical elements, beat, rhythm, form, tempo, pitch, all of those musical elements. And we want our kids to be good human beings. So I'm going to talk about that as well. All right, so in the notes that I'm going to send you, and I'm not going to read all of this, there is some information about what is assessment. Of course, we all know what is assessment, but there's a definition there for you. Types of assessment, and I know that you all know this as well. So assessment for prior learning, formative assessment, assessment for learning, and I've highlighted some parts here. So let me just find my copy here. Okay, I'm just going to read out these highlighted paragraphs. So, formative assessment, teachers are constantly observing. So it's a continuous form of reporting. In fact, in the public school that I'm in at the moment, we are talking very strongly about taking on continuous reporting next year. So that is just reporting all the time. So we're reporting all the time. So teachers are constantly observing, questioning, offering feedback and guidance, inviting answers, recording or videoing lesson segments, offering opportunities for risk-taking, delighting in exploration and reflecting on their own practice. Students are involved in self-assessment, reflecting on their learning, monitoring their progress and their own abilities through individual or group goal setting, peer evaluation, student journals, etc. So I've put some pros and cons here. All right, you can have a read of that when we send you the notes. Now, you can read it right now as I scroll down. Summative assessment, assessment of learning. And this seems to be the popular form of assessment up to now. You know, you do all your classes and then towards the end of the term, perhaps, you start to see what, you test the kids. You want to see, well, what have they actually learned? So I'm going to read out this paragraph that's highlighted. So summative assessment is usually carried out at the culmination of a teaching and learning period or unit to provide an indication of the student's achievements. This is generally a more structured activity than formative assessment. Evidence of student achievement is measured against outcomes and standards. And so when we follow the curriculum, we really have to do a form of summative assessment. Evidence of student achievements is measured against outcomes and standards. It aims to provide all stakeholders with a clear understanding of student progress. Strategies can include checklists, charts, tests, and exams. Yes. All right. I am going to read out pros. Providing students with feedback, just scroll down a little bit, is a crucial element of the assessment process. Feedback should be immediate and support the students in furthering their learning. Teachers can also make use of data gathered through the assessment process to immediately intervene, to change the course or method of instruction, or to offer new challenges for students who have mastered the content. Cons, and this is very interesting as well. So I've read lots of articles you know, various reports about assessment. A top-down model, a teacher-directed world with a right and wrong answer. Now, this really makes you think. Is often defined as a test that measures whether a student has learned enough information. And that is Redfern Cave. She is a music educator that came over and was the guest presenter at our ECPA, Early Childhood Conference of Performing Arts, a couple of years ago. And Sarah Hennessy is from Britain. She says, a common misconception is that assessment is about grading and marking through tests and examinations. These methods are commonly used for summative assessments and should only be a part of how teachers assess students' learning. So there's lots of comments and ideas about summative and formative assessment, but that's not really what I want to spend the bulk of our time on tonight. So, but it's important that that's mentioned. All right, so I'm going to base everything, as I said, on the Australian Music Curriculum version 8.3 from December 16. All right, so first of all, we have the achievement standards in performing arts. And by the end of year 2, so in very much we've got different levels. So we've got foundation to year 2 is lumping together, grade 3 and 4, grade 5 and 6, and then year 7 and 8 and so on. All right, so we're going to look at these achievement standards for foundation to year 2. Students communicate about the music they listen to, make and perform, and where and why people make music. Students improvise, compose, arrange and perform music. They demonstrate oral skills by staying in tune and keeping in time when they sing and play. So in foundation to year 2, learning in the arts builds on the early years framework. And this is very, very, very important. The early years learning framework. If you don't know much about it, I'd really advise that you just get online and have a look at that, because it's very important to know about that. Students are engaged through purposeful and creative play and structured activities, fostering a strong sense of well-being and developing their connection with and contribution to the world. All right, we have what's called content descriptors in music. I'm not going to read through all of these, but you can see there's 4 there. So we need to show that we're covering these content descriptors, that we're covering the achievement standards. Then we have knowledge by band in performing arts, and this is specifically music. Okay, so rhythm. So we really want to be covering beat, sound and silence, fast and slow, moving and performing with an understanding of tempo. We can do all of that in foundation. Pitch, high, low, pitch direction, going up and down, pitch matching, unison, an understanding of unison. Dynamics, loud and soft. Form, same, different, patterns, repetition, timbre and tone colour. How is sound produced? All right, so taking all of that into consideration, and I have moved very, very fast. What I want to spend the time with you on tonight is how I've chosen the activities, because I spent so much time. I hope that this is helpful. Okay, so what I'm about to share with you is predominantly what I designed and created for assessment for the private school that I worked for. I use a version of this with the public school as well, but it's just not, it's not so structured, nearly so structured as the private school. And that's not to say that all private schools are like this and all public schools are like that, okay? It just happens to be 2 different models that I want to present. I'm not making a judgment here either, so no judgment. All right, so I decided what did I want to cover, and it had to cover the curriculum. All right, so I decided, okay, I'm going to do 2 beat activities, and I want to see, we do 1 and I assess it. Can they keep a steady beat? And then a few weeks later, you can see I put the term and the week number for that. So term 1, week 5, I did my first beat activity. Now, some of them are going to already have a really good sense of beat because maybe they've been going to preschool music classes, their parents are doing music with them at home, they've already had that experience, so they've got a good sense of beat. Some kids just automatically just have a sense of beat, a good sense of beat. So it's more about where are they at. So we do that beat activity, and then several weeks later, at least a couple of months later, I assess it again. So then I compare it. So, you know, it really gives me some feedback about my teaching too, because hopefully they've improved, and, you know, it shows that, well, yes, you're actually achieving something in your music program, and hopefully that's what you want to see. We do a pitch identifying activity, high and low, 10%, movement improvisation. Okay, I do that. Active listening, I do 2. You can see that. Pitch matching, I do 2. And participation attitude. I've had many, many discussions with people about participation attitude. My feeling is I would have it a lot higher than 10%. In fact, I think if I chose, and it's usually not up to me, because often the schools make the call, or other music teachers in the school make the call. It's not always up to you. But I would have it at a much higher percentage, participation and attitude, because I think that's what's really important. You know, we want to really teach good human beings who build up their social and emotional skills, as much as their physical skills, cognitive skills, all of that, as well as beat, rhythm, form, tempo, and all of those musical concepts that we want the children to develop. Okay, having said all of that, let's go through what I do. Oh, this is what I did in the private school model. All right, so I'm going to just whiz through these pieces. Some of them you may know, some of them you may not. So I put the resource there for you. And I've also put here how to prepare it and how I actually implement the activity. And that's what's really, really challenging, because you have 25 to 30 kids, and that's what we have in Australia. I know that in other parts of the world, so if anyone's listening from China, you can have up to 60 kids. Guys, I really don't know how I would do it for 60 kids, but let's base this tonight, this webinar, we're going to be looking at roughly between 25 and 30, or up to no more than 30. All right, so you've got kids sitting in a circle. First of all, with assessment, I have them in alphabetical order because it takes so much time, it's drudgery, they get bored. You want to do this as quickly as possible. Okay, so I've got preparation, sit the students in roll order in a circle. Hang on, let me just get my sheet here. Here we go. Have your assessment tracking sheet ready with pen or a clipboard on your knee, or a computer. Sometimes I use the computer. All right, so you need to have your spreadsheet. You need to have all your kids' names down at the side, or you have you do it with your pencil and you have your roll. You have lots of columns. You write up the top. I mean, you all know, you've all done this. You write up the top. This is a first beat activity, and you can name it. This is called copycat. All right, so we're going to sing the song unaccompanied, and we're going to create a rondo. So a rondo is A, B, A, C, A, D, A, E, A. So A means you keep coming back to the song. You have one of the children doing their beat and showing their the way that they do their beat. So it's different to A. Then you come back to A, then another child has their turn, and so on. So we call that a rondo. Teacher puts the beat on his or her body during section A to model. You always need to model, we know that. Give each student 8 beats to tap the beat in time. They have 4 beats to prepare as we sing their name. Every few students go back to section A and do it as quickly as possible. 8 beats is enough to see that they can have a steady beat. And I basically do it for the private school. I had to have a 5-point system. So I had at level, below level, well below level, above level, well above level. So there were 5. At the public school I teach at, I just have 3. I only need 3. But some schools are different. They want really, really specific information. Personally, I don't think it's necessary, but again, you don't always have that choice. All right, lots of talking. Let's do this. So I will play my ukulele. If you don't play ukulele, by the way, it's really so easy because it's all in C. You can just do the open strings, but you can also do it unaccompanied. Copycat, copycat, what can you do? Copycat, copycat, let's copy you. Now, I will actually model and I'll do it unaccompanied first, okay? So I might do this. Copycat, copycat, what can you do? Copycat, copycat, let's copy you. All right, so good sense of beat. Pretty boring though. Now, for foundation, first year of school, they can do some more interesting things and you can model some more interesting things. First of all, it doesn't just have to be both hands together. It can be alternating. It can be 2 things, alternating between 2 things. Copycat, copycat, what can you do? So look, if they keep a good steady beat, a reasonable steady beat, they're going to be at level. If they're kind of copycat, copycat, it's really hard to do this, but you're getting the idea, then they're below level. If they do something really whiz-bang where they're all crossing over, copycat, and doing it nicely in time, they're above level, okay? That's kind of where I sit. All right, so let's copy Jess, and we all sing, and then it's Jess's turn, and they have to try and show me that they can be ready, okay? And I actually give them thinking time. I like to give them thinking time. Okay, it's time to do some, and I don't call it assessment with the young children. I say things like, it's time for me to do some ticky things. And they know, they understand what the ticky things mean, all right? So they know I've either got my clipboard or I've got my computer. So time for ticky things. All right, so I've got that in front of me and they need to be ready. So we all come back to A. I do the A. Copycat, copycat, what can you do? Copycat, copycat, let's copy you. And then it's Jess's turn, and maybe she does la 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 la, or la 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 la. Let's copy Cooper, and then off he goes, and he does something different. La 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 la. Let's copy Annabelle, and then she does something different. Okay. So I let at least 5, 6 kids have a turn, and then I come back to the A section. Once we're back to the A section, I'll play my ukulele just to give it, you know, a little bit of oomph, you know, make it more interesting, other, you know, just other than singing unaccompanied. All right, so hopefully that all makes sense. So that might be the first one. It still can take up to 10 minutes, guys. So, you know, you don't really want to do more than one. Sometimes I have to do 2 in one lesson, and really not great. All right, now I talked to you about several weeks later, I do another beat activity. So this is a beat activity that I've got from Game Plan. Game Plan is a program. It's a sequential developmental music program in America by Randy DeLellis and Jeff Krisky. I don't know whether I've pronounced those correctly, but anyway, people talk very highly about these guys over in the States. And they've just got this really, really simple rhyme, and it goes like this. I think music's neat. I can keep a steady beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so let's see what we do with that. Chant the rhyme unaccompanied, create a rondo. So rondo, I think, is the key because at least it keeps the kids engaged. All say the rhyme and copy teacher's beat. So the teacher's doing something and you try and model really interesting ways of keeping the beat. Then every student gets ready to tap the beat on their body over the numbers, okay? So we don't need to say their names or anything. So let's say Jess is over here. So I have my turn. I think music's neat. I can keep a steady beat. Straight away, Jess goes into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think music's neat. I can keep a steady beat. And then it's Ari's turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you just go around like that. Okay. All right. So hopefully, I'm just going to. Oh, there's no questions in the. I'm just having a look at the chat just to see if you've got any questions. Great. All right. Well, I'm going to keep going. Maybe just in the chat, just give me a heads up that it's okay and you're getting something out of it, and I can keep going. So the next activity is a pitch and high-low activity. This is probably one that you all know. It's been around for a long, long time. It's from Catch a Song, which is a fabulous collection of all kinds of simple songs. And so, for example, I might use, I've got Bumblebee here. Or, you know, I could take Funky Monkey, any puppet. Up, high, down, low, up, high, down, low. Now I'm in the middle and I'm going. Now, obviously, you saw Bumblebee going up. So we have a few practices like that. And then, this is for real. This is when I'm going to do the ticky things. Up, up, high, down, low, up, high, down, low. Now I'm in the middle and I'm going. Show me with your hands. Now all the kids, one by one, they do it, and then all the kids can do it. And then Bumblebee can show you where, or low. Now, I can also, just to make it a bit more interesting, use the glockenspiel or xylophone, and I could play it. Now I'm just going to put it down. I don't know, hopefully you'll hear this. Now, I need to somehow hide, because if the children are watching me, they're going to twig very quickly if they understand the concept of big, low and small, high. There's no point in them watching you. So you need to do it behind something, behind a box, behind something, okay? And then they can put their hands up high or down low. It's really, really simple. All right, so you can do it with your voice or you can do it with an instrument. And once again, I give, well, depending on which school I'm in, 5-point or a 3-point scale for that. All right, I'm whizzing through this. I do movement improvisation. This is one of ours, and let's see, what album is this on? It's on Beat Street. Okay, so I'm not going to play it for you, but stepping in and stepping out, wriggle round and round, wave your hands in the air, now let's turn around. Now, this is a rondo. So the kids, they are a movement improvisation leader in this second section, which is the chorus, and they make something up. It can be on the beat, which is rather nice, and just something interesting. That's what I'm looking for. But I have to say, with young kids, we're also looking to see, are they being sensible? Because, you know, sometimes kids want to show off, they want to do something really crazy, but sometimes they can be really shy as well. So I really want to encourage them to have a go, all of those sorts of things. So the chorus goes like this. Move with the motion, off you go. Zip that bobbity boo. So you can change it. Move with the motion, let it show. Zip that, that'll do. And I'm really impressed if they change their action or their movement halfway through. Often it's just a beat all the way through, which is fine, and they'll get an out level for that. But if I can see that they're doing something really interesting, they'll definitely get an above level. Okay, so I do that one, and now we have 2 listening activities. So I want to share a couple of fabulous books. Many of you will, I'm sure, be familiar with these. These are part of Music Map series. There's 10 in the series, and I love Funga Alafia. It's such a great book to start with. So I want to see, basically, what I want to see with the kids is that they are focusing, they're engaged, and they're actively participating. Okay? Now, you're going to ask, how do I do this? I'm lucky in both the schools that I've been in that they actually supplied me with an iPad. Well, in fact, no, that's not true. The public school did. The private school had a set of about 10, so I could borrow that. I would set it up, sort of propping up on a table, and I would record the kids. I have to say it's time consuming to record the kids and then to watch it back. So I just do this for the active listening activity. And they're the things that I'm looking for. I want to see that they're actively involved, they're doing the actions, and they're engaged, they're self-regulating, they're showing that they're socially aware, they're emotionally aware. I'm looking for all of those kinds of things. So this fantastic book.
Susie,
yes.
Susie, just hold the book up a little higher, love, if you can.
Oh, sure.
And yeah, just so that people can actually see it. I know it's, you don't want to hide your lovely face, but just so people can actually see.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Funga Alafia, Ashe, Ashe. Funga Alafia, Ashe, Ashe. Funga Alafia, Ashe, Ashe. Funga Alafia, Ashe, Ashe. Welcome to our town, Ashe, Ashe. May you be happy, Ashe, Ashe. Let's see if I've got the words right. Yes, bum, 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 Ashe, Ashe. Bum, 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 Ashe, Ashe. Now, I'm not going to show, I'll show just one page of the next. I just need to be careful of copyright because, in fairness, I don't want to have it all on the video. So I'm just going to show you this next page. The beautiful thing about this book is it teaches pitch. So I hope you can see this. You follow the elephants. Funga, funga, alafia, ashe, ashe. So that's how it goes, the rest of the song, following the elephants. Now,
Susie?
Yes.
Just maybe show maybe in one half of the page quite close to your computer so people can actually see what you just talked about. Bit hard because it reflects, but anyway, yeah. Hopefully people get the idea.
But listen, guys, it's not. You know, I think you get the idea. These are fantastic books, and so I might do this a couple of times. So I will. I'll show them the story, and then we'll do it again. I would do it once, not assessing. Then I'd do it again when they already know it well. We do actions, and I'm going to show you the actions that we do. Funga alafia, ashe, ashe. Funga alafia, ashe, ashe. You know, and then we do, often we'll pat our knees. Bum, 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 ashe, ashe. Bum, 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 ashe, ashe. So for the bum-bums, you can have some kids playing drums if you wanted to do that, but it's still the active listening. So the focus is not on the drums. So that's something you could extend into. I want to see them doing the actions. And I might just say to them, you know, because it's the second time that they're doing it, sing the ashe, ashes for me, okay? Not that I'm assessing them on the singing this time, but I'm watching their active listening ability. So that's what I'm assessing it. So it's all there. If you want to get one of the books, they're part of the Music Map storybooks. Okay, I'm got to whiz through because we have 15 minutes left. All right, BB Bumblebee. I'm sure you all know this song. So it's a pitch matching activity. Now, So I need to do lots of activities every week to help children be able to pitch match, and it takes time. Sometimes it takes years. Bee, bee, bumblebee, can you sing your name to me? So I'm showing high, low, high, low, high, low, low, high, low. All right, and then the child sings, my name is Jessica. But look, if they sing it in a different key, but they still have it beautifully in tune and in tune with itself, I'm going to give them an at level. But if I do, bee, bee, bumblebee, can you sing your name to me? Sometimes I get this, my name is Jess, or my name is Isaac. Or they're going to get a below level because they're not even singing, okay? I need to hear some pitch, all right, that get an at level. If they're beautifully matching the pitch, and I change the pitch when I do the assessment too. We go up, bee, bee, bumblebee. We do it a lower voice, medium voice, high voice, and all of that, okay? So that's pretty self-explanatory. And I do two pitch matching activities. All right, let's keep going. Where are we up to? We're up to, I think we've covered all the activities now. All right, so I want to show you now what I did in the private school. We had rubrics for every child. So this was an enormous amount of work. We had to have the name, the class, all of that kind of stuff, description of the task, the curriculum outcomes, and then we had to fill in. Remember, it was a 5-point scale. I had to write the criteria and fill in the rest of it and then highlight where they were at. Okay, so this is pretty full on. Remember, in my public school, I have a 3-point scale, and I would say 80% get at level. I don't like giving a below level, and I would have to say that most of the time when I give a below level, it's because of their attitude and lack of participation in the classroom. It's more about that. I would never want to give, you know, a child with special needs, for example, a below level just because they haven't mastered the skills yet. That's not my philosophy at all. And as I said, the above level are the kids that are doing something, you know, really quite involved, beat-wise, or, you know, just singing beautifully in tune, matching the pitch and so on. And so there's the student result and a teacher comment on top of the reports, let me say. All right, so finally, at the end, assessment comments. So at school A, which was the private school, I gave a mark from 1 to 5 and allocated a mark out of 100. So I also had to do that according to the percentage of the task. So if the percentage was 20%, the mark would be out of 20, and then I had to add them all up. So you can imagine hours and hours and hours. And here we have below level, working towards, etc. At school B, which is the public school, I assessed with a 3-point scale, no marks, which is just fantastic. And here I have a whole set of references. Okay, guys, we have 10 minutes. I hope I'm going to ask you for questions, and even more importantly, comments and sharing your experiences. So please start typing into the chat box. And I'm just going to check if anybody has asked questions. Phil, are you there?
I am. I'm just wondering if somebody's got like a really long-winded comment or something they want to make, we can unmute that person. So rather than try and type a biography, if you've got like a one-line question or a comment, that's great. But if you've got something that's really meaty, perhaps just put that in the comment. And that way,
I'd love to get your comments. If you could share with us, have you experienced the same sorts of things that I've been outlining? You know, those of you that might be in a public school, those of you that might be in a private school, or any kind of school anywhere, have you experienced the same sort of thing? Or do you have a totally different model that you use? Do you do different kinds of assessment tasks?
Okay, Susie, you need to look now at the comments.
What curriculum are you following? Please, let's have some people put some things on.
Have a look at the comments. Can you see?
Oh, so someone said, I always hide behind the whiteboard. Love that. Fantastic. In years 1
Can you see, Emily? Yeah.
Would you do no written assessments? Okay. good question. Do you know what? This is also a very, very good question. In the two models, in the private school that I've been in, definitely written assessment. In the public school, not for years 1 and 2. Years 3, we start recorder, and so we do composition. We do all kinds of things where they have sheets and they do all kinds of things with written assessment for year 3 up. But I actually haven't in the public school. In the private school, yes. So there you go. I don't know if that's useful, but I'd like to hear from you and what you do, what you all do.
Have you seen?
Someone here says, I have started to use an app on my iPad called Book Creator to help with assessment. Okay, that sounds good.
I'll have to look into that.
Can high-low pitch be also done with Solfege? Absolutely, you could do it with Solfege.
Mm-hmm.
Do, 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 do. So, 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 do. And then they have to show you, did I have a high do or a low do, for example? Or you could just make up one yourself. I'm not going to do it now, but you could make up one yourself and then do it just with So and Me, for example.
Okay.
Got this idea from Sydney Symphony Orchestra, Tune Ed up last year. Okay.
Great.
What idea was that? Do we know what the idea was?
Not yet.
Was that the app? Maybe that was the app, the Book Creator. I'm not sure. Maybe if you could let us know. Lisa said, yes, what do your reports, what do your reports look like? Are they individual comments like pitch, rhythm, and so on? All right, let me tell you about reports.
Great question. Quickly.
Okay, so really the rubric it's almost like a report, isn't it? Now for the private school, we did rubrics and a report. All right, so I have to say for both schools, my reports are usually, for every year level, I have 4. I do 4. For the private school, I would have done 5 for the 5-point scale. Now, for the public school, I only have a 3-point scale, but I do another one. And one is for those kids, and we all have them, that muck around, not always a good attitude. You know, they're the ones that every now and again you've got to go and sit in the corner. Those kids that... Now, a lot of those kids, they improve immensely, but there's some that don't. And I don't have many of them. I'm sure you don't either, but I have a handful. So I actually have a separate report for those kids. And I say things like, when Ari is on track, he sings beautifully, keeps a good steady beat, you know, all of those kinds of things. But I'm constantly talking about when they're on track or when they are engaged, when they participate well. So I want the parents to know that actually they've got a way to go in terms of behaviour and participation. So I have 4. Then I have a below level, which, as I said, very few get that. Most of them get the at level, and then maybe 20% get above level, and I have one for each. So I talk about the things that I've assessed. So I talk about pitch, I talk about beat, movement, improvisation, playing instruments, all of those things. I'm just thinking, would it be helpful? I could do a webinar on reports. If you want, I'm really happy to share my reports with you so you can see them for the different year levels. Let me know.
Okay, keep going, I love, please.
Okay, I loved your ideas. I have done many rubrics for the seniors, but I haven't done any for my younger ones. I do a 5-point scale in my public school. That's really interesting. Thank you, Gina. Anita, sounds very reasonable. Susie, I'm doing similar things. Great. Jennifer, with beat, how can students achieve above level? Well, remember what I said. To get an above level from me, they need to show that they can keep the beat in a really interesting way. So maybe they're crossing over. Maybe they're doing 2 things. For foundation, this is 5-year-olds. That's where I'm giving them an above level. Okay, so I hope that answers that question. Karen, I've also found it equally difficult to assess quickly. I've started to use a combination of examples you have demonstrated plus videoing or watching later. Yeah. And I do that, just the one with the active listening. I found videos to be wonderful as you see many things you would normally miss, which is great. And I think you should always do one or two, but it's very time consuming. Helen, hi Susie, our school is looking at moving to using rubrics from pre-primary upwards. Do you think they give better feedback? Personally, no. I think we can still give great feedback with our reports. Having said that, I know with my public school, we're going to continuous reporting. I have no idea what that's going to look like next year. But again, if you're interested and if I learn something about it, I'd be really happy to share that.
Now, Susie?
Yes.
Just be aware, I mean, you've created a bit of a monster now. You've got people asking all sorts of questions and making comments, which is great. We need to either ask everyone if they're happy to continue for 4 or 5 minutes after 8 o'clock, or we will get back to people individually afterwards by email or whatever. So it's up to you.
All right. Well, we can go just for a few more minutes. Are people basically happy? Just give us a thumbs up if you're happy. I'm just going to keep going. Well, Phil, you can tell me if there's a few thumbs up. From Hayley, I have a seating rug in my room, so I have a seating plan. I love those seating rugs. And I have a page that I can tick according to where the child is sitting and transfer to my mark page later. That works well for when I am still learning names. Oh, and doesn't it take forever to learn the names when you have hundreds of children? Whew. Okay. Oh, Shirley. Hi, Shirl from New Zealand. I have done these kinds of activities for my own interest, although the public school I was in required very little, just a comment for each child. So, yes, it's just so variable. Lovely to hear from you, Shirley. Anita, I do some videoing as well and find it very useful. Great. I'm not sure who this person is, Bramora. On Book Creator, you can film students so you have something to look back on. That sounds really good. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'll definitely look into Book Creator. From Gina, my Year 5 kids have to create a musical piece and perform it on tuned percussion. I assess how they use the mallets, the form of the music. Are they sight reading? Great, love it. Love it. And maybe if you're interested, we could do another one for, one of the upper levels, for example. Jennifer, our school has been looking at an app called Seesaw on iPads. Now, our school, the public school, uses Seesaw also. So I know about Seesaw, and it's a great communications tool for the parents as well. So students can write and record themselves. I'm hoping to use it next year. Now, having said that, I haven't used it, but next year I will be using Seesaw. It's supposed to be very, very good. Okay, Jay Burbage, stage 2, we video kids playing recorder in ensembles of 3 kids, then taken home and tick off rubric. Fantastic. The video kids playing recorder in ensemble, yeah, I know, ensembles you mean. 3 kids, and they can do it with each other. And that's the great thing. I think when kids are a little bit older, not with foundation, they can video each other. And if you can share it. And I think that's probably what we're going to be doing next year with the continuous reporting as well. We're going to do relay a lot of the activities from the music class onto Seesaw so the parents can see them, and then it's a good form of assessment. The Book Creator from SSO. Oh, great. Thank you. Gina, I use loom bands on the recorders. Yes, fantastic. Every time they can read and play a new note, they win a loom band. Love it. Fantastic. Year 4 plays ukes. Again, they perform in groups of 3, which we video, take home, watch and tick rubric. Fantastic. Reporting webinars. So someone likes that idea. Reports. Okay. Well, we'll do one next year. We'll do one on reports, and I'll share. I'm happy to share mine. In reports, it's really important that we give accurate feedback to parents. I think we sometimes fudge the truth too much and parents don't interpret the underlying message that kids are not yet there. Yeah. And I think that's maybe where continuous reporting can be really good, and where we, every few weeks, maybe twice a term, we actually do videos and put them up onto something like Seesaw. I mean, I don't know yet, but I can let you know next year how I go.